How about expansion teams? How do they go about who's going to own those teams? Because they're allegedly starting a division in Europe in 2025, I believe. There's a Delta plane that's supposed to be the Concorde that's able to get from New York to London in 4 hours or something like that. So when that happens, everybody's assuming there's going to be an NFL expansion, because when Jim Irsay was on our show, we asked him about expansion of the program, and he said, well, Concorde was supposed to get us from New York to London in like 4 hours, and then that stopped happening, and then the world got much further away, and the moon is 80,000 miles away. The Mars, 250,000 miles away. So whenever you're talking, and I think you'll get there once in your lifetime, Pat, not me. So he was talking about expansion and growing, and distance kind of being the issue, not so much the fan base. So I think him alluding to that with the thought that there's another super jet coming in, I think that is, you know, maybe planned together. Roger Goodell leaking this a couple years beforehand is normally a bureaucracy, the NFL, really slow to kind of move through anything. A lot of people have to pass on. Seems like it's already been a conversation, and good for the NFL, good for Europe. But how do you figure out who the fuck owns those teams, AJ, you know?
Yeah, how do you figure out who owns them, and how do you figure out, like, how are the rosters made up? Do you do like the NHL? Don't they have, like, when they have an expansion team, they have an expansion draft, and you have to, like, protect certain players, and some players are not protected? Will we see something like that?
Yeah, and you have to have a home base back here. How do you work players out? Do we pay them more for traveling and living over there?
All those logistics seem crazy to try to figure out. How do you play a full season? All of it is just going to be tough.
Add 2 rounds to the draft. Like,
a lot of money, though.
More picks now, too.
A lot of money. Hey, AJ, you saw that Tottenham Stadium?
Packed. Pretty nice.
Yeah. Packed, though.
Yeah.
Packed. Filled up.
Yeah.
Every game over there, filled up.
Yeah.
Munich, Germany, what they had like 17 million people trying to get 70,000 tickets.
In like the first 6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I think it was also a lot of ticket people trying to scam people and shit like that. But the amount of, it wasn't 17 million. It was
500,000.
Yeah, 570,000 or something like that. It was an absurd amount of money. 5X, 10X, whatever it was, or amount of people, I mean, to get in there. So the want is there. How would it work? I'm happy I'm not in the NFL. I'm happy we're talking about it. Like, we talk about these England games like they're cool. When we went and did it, it was terrible. Fucking hated it. Everybody hated it. Everybody hated it afterwards, hated it beforehand. Aaron right now and them are dealing with it. They didn't have a bye week. We didn't either. They're like, Monday, we're trying to figure it out. Tuesday, we're still trying to get back into it. It's just a complete kick to the nuts of your entire routine, which is what an NFL season is. Groundhog's Day. It's nice. It's not nice. It's a logistical nightmare, whatever. It's a cool experience, but I'm happy I'm not playing in it. How would it work, you think, with people living over there, D? But you'd have a home base, you think, where people would work out? And would that be where the office is, you think? How do you think it works, Darius?
You have to have something over here, but what he said is it'll be 4 teams, so you'll add 4 new teams at the same time?
I think so, yeah.
I feel like you'll definitely have to expand the draft. How did they do it when the Panthers came into Panthers and Jags?
Well, with the Texans, I think they did do the same type of thing where, like, a certain amount of guys on each team, like, the Texans basically just got them, and then they obviously got the first pick in the draft. But
so Nick, I don't want to cut you off. You might get to it. Are you going to talk about the supplemental draft right now? Is that what that is?
No, I don't think so, but I assume that's part of it.
So what is it, Nick, in hockey? Whenever they have an expansion, hockey's done this a lot. You can offer up, like, every team has to offer up like 5 guys or something like that.
Yeah, they offer.
You can protect certain players.
Yeah, there's a protection list, and it's any combination of something like 7 forwards, 3 defensemen, and 1 goalie. Then the rest of your players are exposed unless they're like entry-level contracts, which are rookies who are just drafted or have only played like 2 or 3 years or so.
You know Brant Boyer?
Yep.
Special teams coordinator right now for the Jets. I'm happy they're having success for that guy.
Yeah.
Zach is back.
Hell yeah, Zach is back. But Brant Boyer was a special teams ace back whenever it was like, hey, run your face into a wedge. 12 years, that guy.
Beast.
Stud, dude. We're talking, hey, AJ, you would love Brant Boyer.
Back when, like, Larry Izzo was doing it, like that era?
Yeah, 12 years. He is flying right into the
concrete head and absolute more courage than anybody.
Yes.
4-man wedges.
Oh, it's stacked on top of each other. They had wedges on top of each other, so if you hit it, they would fall into the other wedge. So there was no, I mean, it was insane.
Go make a pile.
It was my first kickoff in the NFL regular season game. I'm like, holy fuck. We're kicking off from the 30, so there's really limited touchbacks. Like, hey, we're going to get some collisions. Hey, we're going to get some collisions. He was playing during that era. Like, badass dude.
Guys trying to kill each other.
Yeah, it is. We do not care about anything. But he was with the Browns, I think, and then he got offered up to the Jags expansion team. He was up in the thing, so he ended up going down there. They just kind of that would be an interesting, I think, if I recall his. We were talking about it one morning because we were talking about the expansion shit. I don't know how it would work because I think London was supposed to get the Jags. So it wouldn't have been a thing for a long time. Like the Jags are just going to become a London team. So we still have 32 teams. Mm-hmm. They'll do all their home games for like the first half of the season, and then they'll fly back, and then they'll have a home base in probably Jacksonville and just have all away games for like the last half of the season. That was always kind of like the conversation. But expansion-wise, I think every team has to offer up guys. That would be hilarious, just out of nowhere.
Yeah. Some guys turn it down. What if some old guys are unprotected and they're sitting there and they may want to play another year or two? And they realize they got to go overseas somewhere like, nah, I'm good. Like, I bet we have a couple of people pull out for sure.
So I'm living in – somebody's getting a phone call.
Yeah.
Is that somebody getting called to the expansion? Darius Butler, congrats. You're on.
Yeah.
Dusseldorf.
Yeah.
Not blowing.
No, but that is like just sitting in Indianapolis. You're on the Colt. You're like number 25 on the roster, 26 on the roster.
That was
Backup linebacker or something.
Man.
Got a family, probably played 5-6 years.
Yeah.
You know, you're a special teams guy, just kind of doing your thing.
New house.
Hey, you've been offered up for the expansion draft. What does that mean? Well, any of these 4 teams in Europe can pick you in. There's only enough players going into the expansion draft for everybody to get picked.
Yeah, you will be selected.
You're going to Europe, dude. We don't know which one, but it's either in London or Germany or Ireland. Like, it's going to happen. Because in college, you know, everybody just kind of appreciates and respects the draft. You know, and Florio used to have the big run where it's like, it's the only profession where you get drafted and like you have no choice. Like, hey, congratulations, you're moving to this thing. But we're lucky to do it. You get lucky to get drafted, get an opportunity to have a job, and there's a lot of jobs that you have to travel for. So there's a lot of high-paying jobs that you have to travel for. But there is something to be said about not being able to pick. Imagine being 29, 30 years old, having the whole thing.
Jeez.
You have no, it's just like all of a sudden I'm in London now. All right, sweet. You get to be there, though, remember? You get to be a London admiral or whatever the hell you're going to be. You don't have to. It's like, well, I wasn't thinking I was going to be a fuck.
But yeah, you're right though. They got to be laying the groundwork now for if they do plan on doing this, like talking to potential owners, right? All the people out there that would put a group together and want to own one of these teams.
And it would be European owners, I would assume, right?
It would have to be, right?
It would have to. You'd want them to have the like a little bit of
Like soccer club.
Take pride in their hometown team or whatever.
yeah. Unless it's going to be like Wrexham.
Yeah,
you know?
should be.
Ryan Reynolds.
Half the EPL is now owned by Americans. So
Well, and
Shout out. Sorry about it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Well,
And
they're trying to push those fuckers
Who
out.
else?
That'd be tough, man. Or if you're one of those players who like, you know, get cut and back on the team get cut. Like imagine going from
Practice squad.
Europe back to
Oh.
Atlanta, back to Europe. Like, come on, man.
yeah, because there's guys that get signed on a Friday,
Yeah.
and then they are cut on a Monday.
Yeah.
And then they're brought back that next Thursday or Friday or Saturday. Even fucking, Saturday guys getting signed. Hey, you're flying to
Gotta go.
expand the
How do
game.
you do camp? You do camp over there? You do preseason games? How's that work too?
You would have to do it in America, right? You would have to have a base at home, I think, here in America. I think you would have to. Because the amount of
And then
people
at the end of
that are
camp,
moving-
congrats guys, let's go take the old flight. Don't worry, we haven't those 4-hour flights aren't here yet. We got a 11-hour. Have fun.
I think they're waiting for those flights. Now
Hopefully that works out.
Hey, will practice squad guys that are getting signed to practice squad get the 4-hour flights, or will they get the?
Oh no.
Yeah, teams
They're
gotta
not
fly
getting
them out.
4-hour flights.
You know what I mean? Hey, you go.
Hey, you're flying coach.
Good luck.
You're actually standing up. You have to stand up the whole time.
You gotta be the fucking
maybe a
guinea
cargo
pigs
ship.
for the Concorde flights.
What's that, Bell?
So you got to be the guinea pig for the new
Yeah, someone's
flights.
got it.
Let's assume those are happening already. Let's hope.
To AJ's point, do you think by the time that happens, preseason might be done? And like by the time they add 4 teams, there'll either be 2 games, or there'll be no games, and there'll be 18 games in a season.
I think there always will have to be at least 2 preseason games. I think because it's like a chance to see guys. I don't think starters should be in those games at all. I think that's gonna whittle away quickly. That seems to be something that is.
Already has.
We're playing guys. We're not playing fucking anybody except for Josh Jacobs.
Right.
Oh, some of the better teams that started out better this year played their guys.
Not
Chiefs-
week 1 though, right? Not week
Chiefs,
4.
Bills, they played their guys as starters, and like Rams didn't play their starters. So I don't know. It depends on the coach, I think.
You like preseason or no?
No, I hate it. I think I like getting a few reps. You know, just going through a routine, getting a couple series, getting the calls. So I don't mind it, but you get out of there once you get kind of the mechanics.
What if they just completely change the entire system? And in my head, I just thought of this, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of holes to pick through it. But why don't they have one preseason game for like your guys, your team? Like, hey, get the reps. Let's do the warm up.
Yeah.
Let's do the whole thing. Let's figure it out. Let's play it like it's a preseason game. And then there's like a pool games that takes place where like, hey, these are our bubble guys. These guys are going to play. Their bubble guys are going to play. Like, it's just like a showcase game almost for, the bottom end of the rosters. So guys like can't play guys that are already locked in. Now, GMs and coaches will ruin that, but I think you could use it as an extra like opportunity to look at guys from other teams, and you can have your team guys. Like, I think if it's like locked in for that, nobody will do it, and I think players would agree to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess I wonder. Yeah, how many players would that be, and what if you pooled what if every team? I don't know, you couldn't say that. What if you had like 10 guys you put out in the bottom of your roster at the end of the preseason, and you put all of them together, and then they make up 2 teams and they play against each other?
That would be sick.
Here we go.
Mark this. 2 weeks before the season.
It's like the Senior Bowl almost, but it's at the end of training camp.
Yeah.
Because there's those 2 weeks off. So all the guys that are bubble guys for teams.
How pissed would you be if you went from like starter to bubble guy, and all of a sudden you're in that game?
Oh my God!
Better ball out.
Who are you going to ball out with?
Yeah.
Guy you never
Or
played
they're
football
really
with
pissed,
before?
like your coach is just pissed at you, and he puts you in the bubble game. Hey, that's going to be a threat in OTAs. Hey, man, you stop. You guys don't run to the ball. You're playing the bubble game.
So you get 2 preseason games for every team, and then you got the Bubble Bowl, which is the last week, which is people that aren't on teams anymore, and that's for that week in between the cuts.
Hey,
and
guys would be juiced for that game.
it's like an extra opportunity for the guys that just got cut or whatever.
But then guys like Russ Wilson, who won all the reps, might volunteer to go play quarterback for one of the squads in that game because they're always working.
Well, he didn't play.
Russ is not playing in a Bubble Bowl.
He didn't play at all
If
in
he
this
needs the
preseason.
reps.
Rustin probably should have in a new system. Right?
Yeah.
I looked into the Texans expansion draft.
Okay, here we go.
Each team had to put up 5 players for an expansion draft that was a month before the regular draft. You couldn't have a punter or kicker as one of your 5 players, and the 5 players couldn't be someone who's going to be an unrestricted free agent the next year. A lot of teams use it as a salary cap dump. Anyone who they thought was old and maybe they wanted to get rid of their salary, a lot of people put those 5 players up. Texans had to draft 30 players from the 150-player pool, or
Colts are looking for
$27.2 million in salary, which was about 40%
players.
of the salary at the time. So those were the rules pretty much for the expansion draft.
So I couldn't put Matt Ryan up. I was literally, as you were laying out the rules, I didn't listen to all the rules because Squirrel, I thought about Matt Ryan getting put into
Is
the
he going to be
expansion.
unrestricted free agent next year?
You can't make 4 teams out of that, though.
No, he's going to get cut next year.
Well, this was just one team. I think they'd have to adjust.
Yeah, probably 10 guys.
I guess they would want to dump, but it would be. You're right. It would be a salary cap dump. That's what it would be.
Every GM would be like, thank God. Okay.
Perfect.
Congrats.
They would
Congrats
love
to the Dusseldorf Dragons.